Okay, so this is the introductory PowerPoint for the ERT107 fall version of the course. Uh, Intro to Industrial Robotic Technologies and Workshop Practices. So, a couple introductions here. My name is Al Douglas. I am a professional engineer. I am a full-time professor and the program coordinator for the robotics program at St. Clair. I am an electrical engineer. I went to school at the University of Windsor. I graduated in 1996. I started teaching here in 2016, so I've been teaching for 5 years right now. That is my story. This is what I used to look like when I worked out in the field. So I did a lot of the job functions that we're training you for in this program. I did professionally as a system integrator. We're going to talk later in this course about what type of job that is. But basically the things we're training you to do are the things that I used to do, working all around North America, doing PLCs, electrical control system design, robots, machine vision, stuff like that for about 20 years. So that is my story. Some of my teaching style. I don't like to lecture a lot. I like to help people figure things out for themselves. I like teaching stuff that's relevant to industry, and I like to use a lot of active learning methods. Purpose of this course, we kind of talked about this in the syllabus as well, but a couple different things here. Number one, give you the basics of industrial safety, codes, practices, and standards. Get you used to working with in an industrial environment or working on lab projects with both hand tools and machines in a safe and skilled way. Give you an introduction to different career paths that are available to robotics technicians, and give you an introduction to different types of robotic technology advancements. So that is part of this course as well. These are pictures here from labs from some of the previous years. You can see the one on the left, that is one of the mechanical projects you'll work on. So using a drill press, learning how to use that safely and learning some of the skills involved in that. The one on the right is wiring an electrical junction box, so doing some electrical work as well. So you'll learn how to do that as well. So what will you get from this course? When we talk about courses, we talk about course outlines and then course learning objectives, or CLOs. You'll have a course outline for each course. It should be published on the Blackboard site. All of the course outlines are also published on the main program site as well. So the course outlines for this course, first of all, use risk assessment to develop a safety strategy for an industrial machine. Evaluate the design of a safety-related control system by applying safety strategies, standards, and regulations. Interpret how legislation and codes are applied to the operation, design, selection, application of machine guarding industrial robots and robot systems. Monitor and recommend health and safety standards and best practices to workplaces, including pre-start health and safety reviews, or PSRs. Perform selected safety procedures and adhere to all safety rules while operating industrial tools and equipment. Identify all safety procedures that are necessary to safely operate an industrial robot and robotic line. Discuss the development of robots and their main industrial applications. Discuss the various types of manufacturing processes used in industrial environments. And finally, discuss the career paths in robotics and automation. So those are all the course outlines, course objectives that we need to hit in this course. This is how we're going to mark the course. So this is changing a little bit from the way this course is normally done because we're doing online delivery. We are going to weight the assignments a little bit higher and the labs a little bit less, just because we're going to be heavier on the assignments. So lab projects, that's going to be 20 points. This is all outlined in the syllabus as well. Assignment is going to be worth 10. The group project is worth 15. Test 1 and Test 2 both worth 15. And the exam, or test number 3, is worth 25. So big thing to remember from this. This applies to all courses you're going to take in our program here. The most important thing you're going to take away from these courses is the knowledge and not the grade. Now, many people really get stuck on chasing after the highest grade possible. that they miss out on gaining as much knowledge as possible. So don't fall into that trap. You want to make sure you gain as much knowledge as you can from these courses and really take advantage of that. So we're going to use a lot of different types of assessments over the next 2 years. You'll see closed book tests, open book tests, individual and group labs, individual and group assignments, individual and group projects. Okay, you'll be experiencing all these things. So what do these mean? This is very important you understand what these things mean so you understand what the expectations are from you. So a closed book test. This tests the knowledge that is in your head and your skills only. So what you actually know at that particular time, this is what this is testing. So typically for a closed book test in the room, you would be allowed a pen, pencil, ruler, calculator, eraser, maybe a formula sheet. You would not be allowed any kind of notes, any textbook, any phones, any computers, headphones, or communication of any kind. Okay? That is a closed book test. Now an open book test, this tests your ability to apply knowledge, your skills, and manage time. Resources are available to be used if needed, but it's up to you to rely on them instead of knowing the material. If you rely on them instead of knowing the material, you will run out of time. Okay, so they are there for a reference for you, but not to be a replacement for knowledge. So you are allowed to have pen, pencil, ruler, calculator, eraser, formula sheet. You would be allowed to have computers, notes, be able to use blackboards. I often let people listen to music when they're writing a test, if it's an open book test. You would not be allowed to have phones or communication of any kind with any other person in the room. So what are we going to be doing in this course? Now this is a little bit differently because it works a little bit different because we are online. So the tests for this course are typically all going to be closed book. However, I will supply any information I think is important. So for example, if you need a chart or a table, I'm not expecting you to memorize that. I will provide that for you. That's typically the way I've run this course before. I'm trying to test your ability to apply knowledge as opposed to have you memorize things. Now, the issue we face here with closed book tests in the online environment is that obviously it's going to open up the door for students to treat it like an open book test. So you are at home writing this test. It is online. It's probably going to be multiple choice questions. So we need to look for good ways to be able to properly assess you for this. So some of the ways we come up with to combat this so far, we limit your time per question. So we basically don't give you a whole lot of time to answer questions. So you really have to know what you're doing. You don't have time to look things up. And then we give you questions that are more application-based than memory-based. So you really have to be able to figure out how to apply knowledge as opposed to just being able to look things up to get an answer. So we want to be able to test your application of knowledge. We try to design our testing that way. So let's talk a little bit about your labs. The lab is intended for you to be able to apply what you're learning and test your skills. You're intended to be able to make mistakes, learn from them, and improve them in a very low stakes environment. So we give you marks in your labs just to ensure that you actually attend and that you do the work, but you're not there just to try to get the best mark possible. So people often fall into the trap of just basically burning through the lab to get the mark without really trying to learn what they're supposed to be learning while they're there. We want you to make sure that you try to learn as much as you can when you're in the lab. Okay? Labs could be individual or group, but we have to understand that each person needs to be able to submit their own work. Okay? Sometimes you're going to work together to solve lab problems, and this should be for the purpose of the group learning together, but it should not be so people get lab marks without doing the work themselves. Okay? Assignments. There's likely going to be one assignment each week. This first week you actually have 2 assignments coming up. This is usually going to be an online quiz on Blackboard. The intent of this is to keep students engaged outside of the class time and force them to review the lecture content each week. So that is the purpose of that. The assignments are not supposed to take a long time. They're basically supposed to be a check to make sure that you actually have gone through the material and to basically motivate you to actually review the material thoroughly. Assignments are all given a due date. Typically have 1 week to get them done. After the due date passes, there is no way to submit assignments. So don't email me saying, I didn't submit my assignment, can I submit it late? There is no such thing as late in my courses. You have a date and a time that needs to be submitted by. In this course, that is always going to be Sunday night after they've been assigned. So by midnight on Sunday, you have to have things submitted. Sorry, I should say by 11:59 on Sunday, you have to have things submitted. You typically have multiple attempts to submit an assignment. So you'll have you'll be able to submit them, and I take the highest mark when you do that. Assignments are individual. I am expecting people will probably work together on things, but everyone does need to submit their own individual work for assignments. You will be doing a group project in this course. If you do a group project, everyone will receive the same mark, but we are expecting that everyone will actually contribute to that mark as well. Now we're going to talk about cheating and academic honesty, as we're now calling it. So I will not tolerate any form of cheating in any course that I ever teach. Now, I am as much responsible for this as you are. So there's a few things that I need to do to ensure that this does not happen. So my responsibilities on my side, I need to make sure that students understand what the rules are. So I need to make sure that you understand when group work is allowed and when it is not. I need to make sure that you understand what the rules are for tests and what the rules are for exams. So you need to understand, are you allowed a formula sheet? Are you allowed a calculator? I need to make sure these things are very clear as to what the rules are for situations like this, so there's no confusion. I need to make sure the students understand what the penalties are for breaking these rules as well. So cheating on any assessment will result in a mark of 0 on that assessment. Also, if you are caught for cheating, the infraction is recorded in our database, and if you are a repeat offender on here in that database, you will face a harsher penalty each time that it happens, leading up to possible expulsion. I can tell you, I taught a course this past summer, and in that course, I logged 45 total incidents in the database of cheating. Okay, so we weren't messing around with that course. That was an awful lot. It's the most I've ever had for a course. So that takes a lot of effort on my part to do that, but I'm willing to put in that effort to make sure the message gets across that people are not trying to do that. Okay, so this is something we take very seriously. We want you to get that message right away so that you're not doing anything that is academically dishonest, and that you're trying to learn as much as you possibly can on your own. So I need to make it easy to enforce these rules. I need to make sure that there's multiple versions of tests. I need to make sure that if we are writing in an actual room on campus, there has to be good spacing in these test rooms as well. And I also need to make sure it is easier for you to get a good grade in the course by learning the material than by cheating. Okay, so if I can make it easier, if I can make it difficult to cheat, that you think it's just easier just to try to study than try to figure out a way to defeat the system, then we're on the right path. So your responsibilities in all this, you need to learn the material, you need to submit your things on time, you need to go to all your classes and your labs. This is a video, so you don't have any questions. So, the basic rules for this class. You got to do the work. You're going to watch the videos, you're going to do the assignments, you're going to go to the lab. You're going to be respectful of others. So, because we're online, what does that mean? I guess one thing is you're going to try to make friends. You should really try to make friends in this class. You should also try to help other people out. Not help them out by cheating, but help them out within the rules. Make friends, help others. Okay? That's going to really help you a lot. You're not going to cheat. It's not worth it. You're going to learn the material and you're going to earn your own marks. And you're going to submit things on time. Remember that there is no such thing as a late submission. So the structure of the class. This is how the week is going to go for this class and how the week will probably go for a lot of your classes as well. So by every Monday morning, and I kind of failed at this because I didn't have my videos ready for Monday this week, But for each Monday morning, if you go to Blackboard, you should be able to find the new PowerPoints for the topics for that week. We posted on Blackboard, and you'll get familiar with how this works on Blackboard as well. There should be videos of the PowerPoints, which you should be able to see there now that I'm posting these videos. It's basically like the live class would have been like. So this is kind of what a lecture would have been like if we were doing live classes. And there should also be an assignment for that lesson also posted on Blackboard. During the week, you are going to review all this material. You are going to attend the lab, and you are going to do the assignment for that week's material. And then when Friday comes around, there will be a live online class between 1 and 3 p.m. So you're welcome to drop into that. This live class will be on Blackboard. You're welcome to drop into that. Come in, ask questions, anything for extra help, anything you didn't understand from the lesson that week, or if you want to talk about, that time is there for you, like a live class or like office hours. Also on Fridays, because I am the coordinator of the robotics program, if you have any questions related to just the program in general, you're welcome to ask them at that time as well. That's kind of an open time for any other general questions you have. If you have them, bring them at that time as well. So required equipment for the labs. You will need PPE, personal protective equipment for the labs. Before you attend the lab in 1035, you will need safety shoes and safety glasses. So what does this mean? Safety shoes, CSA approved safety shoes. They could look like the one on the left or the one on the right. There's lots of different types of safety shoes. What they must have, you need to have shoes that have green triangle and white square designation on them. So the green triangle means toe and puncture protection. So you can see there, class 1 steel toe cap with puncture resistant sole. The white square means electrical protection. So that's what it looks like on 2 pairs of shoes that I have, the green triangle and the white square. So basically you can drop something heavy on your toe and it won't hurt. You can step on something sharp and it won't hurt. The electrical protection, basically that means you could step on something metal and it sticks in your sole of your shoe, and then you could walk on an electrical cable and it penetrates that cable and you will not electrocute yourself. Okay, so that's kind of what the electrical protection means. What would you expect to pay for these? This is from last year, I think, but I just basically went on the Canadian Tire website. So here's a couple pairs of shoes. I would expect to pay somewhere between $50 and $200 for shoes. Here's a couple examples of what you can find. Where to get these: Canadian Tire, Mark's Work Warehouse, Mr. Safety Shoes, Work Authorities, a couple places around town that sell these. I would get something that's comfortable. You're going to be wearing these a lot over the next 2 years, and then beyond that, probably in your work life. I would get something that's comfortable. None of them look really good, so I would just get something that feels good on your feet, because you're going to be standing in them quite a bit. And then for safety glasses, must be CSA approved, must have side shields, so there has to be protection on the side of your glasses. You can buy these in the crib at the college. They also sell them in the bookstore, but the bookstore is not open right now. You can also buy them at most hardware stores or places like that as well. They're pretty cheap, typically under $10 for a set of safety glasses.